Hello and welcome, I'm Ali Mustafa and this is Straight Talk. It's been a historic week for Turkey with the strongest turnout in the Republic's democratic life. 87% of 48 million registered voters showed up to drop their ballots into tens of thousands of boxes at schools, airports and hospitals. In the end, Recep Tayyip Erdogan was elected as the first executive president of the Turkish Republic. Erdogan defeated his closest rival Muharrem Ince by more than 20%. While he won the popular vote, his party was unable to gain a simple majority in parliament. It will now need the help of its ally, the MHP, to be able to pass key laws. Alongside the MHP, the E-Party has emerged as another nationalist force. Together, the two combined hold more than 20% of the seats. And then there is the HDP. The pro-Kurdish party's presidential candidate, Selahattin Demirtas, received 9% of the popular vote, despite being behind bars on terrorism charges. The HDP once again crossed the 10% threshold to make it to parliament, depriving the AK party of a significant number of seats. And to discuss this further, I'm joined by Pinar Akpinar, a researcher at Istanbul Policy Center, and by Vehbi Baysan, who is a lecturer at Ibn Haldun University. Thank you so much for being here. Let's begin with you. Your expectations moving forward. Were you surprised that the AK party made it through, but also the MHP? And more so, there was a lot of talk about a second round of elections, right? The fact that Erdogan won it in the first, what does that tell you?
To be honest, personally, I'm not too surprised because we've been conducting research for the last 2 years on polarization and Kurdish question in Turkey. And the outcomes of this research, and also this year we conducted a survey on social cohesion in Turkey. And the outcomes of this research suggested that the two main problems for Turkish society are security and economy. Ongoing war in Syria and Turkey's military intervention actually gained huge support among Turkish people. And the Turkish people has fears in terms of economy and security. And the new candidates like Ince or the existing ones did not really give hope to Turkish people in terms of these problems. Ince carried out his campaign based on enmity or criticism against Erdogan, but he didn't really offer, significant solutions to existing problems. And people did not want to take risks.
But let's bring in what Ince had to say in his concession speech the following day after hashtag Ince Nerde was trending in Turkey on Twitter, which means where is Ince? Let's hear what he had to say about the elections, the process and the results.
Those countries that have voter turnouts around 30% shouldn't tell us about democracy. We will take our matters into our own hands. Don't worry at all. Turkey will not be divided.
Ince coming out with a statement like that goes to show that there's something more than politics at play here, isn't it? This sense of we are Turks, let us take care of our own.
That I think very important what he did, because it's a kind of little unusual, because like in the previous elections, they tried to create an atmosphere where the votes will be, dodged or kind of stolen away, etc. Or we have these cases where electric cut off and the officials said it was cats went in or something. So they wanted to create an enormous atmosphere where the votes are in danger. Even they came up with this idea that there is this ink when you put your stamp, and after it just evaporates and disappears. So all these things were circulating over there. But in the end of the day, they also blamed Anadolu Agency because they are kind of giving false information. But that all happened after the ballots were closed down. So it's not going to affect the election results. So Ince, very interesting, came up and said, well, look guys, this is over. We lost, we better accept it. But the message, of course, was now to the CHP, because Muharrem Ince's personal votes are higher than, he got over 30% and CHP got 22%. So that's an interesting thing. So we will now expect in the near future, actually...
It's creating rifts within the party as well.
And it should actually, because when you look at the CHP's history, people's expectations are there, but not much really coming out of it. But likewise, when you look at the votes Erdogan got himself 53%, but AK Parti's votes are 42%. So then AK Party has to really do something, some revisions, which they started a year ago.
Now we're getting reports from Mehmet Şimşek, actually a tweet that he tweeted, linking it to a local article in a local newspaper, where Erdogan and the MHP leader, his coalition partner Bahçeli, have agreed not to extend the state of emergency, and Şimşek says this is indeed very positive. Return to normalcy is gaining momentum.
This is the greatest news I got, let's say, not only today, but probably for the last month. Because, I mean, you cannot really continue.
Because there were extenuating circumstances. Well, this country did face a threat, but now you're saying it's time.
It's time, I mean. For a while it was time anyway, but whatever happened in the past, I think it had to stop. So we should go back to normalization in politics, and people, you know, should be ruled or governed with ordinary rules, laws, etc. And if they're really guilty, they should be punished, or whatever it is. But state of emergency kind of were bypassing all these.
Another thing is about accountability. A lot of the criticisms from the CHP was that having so much power in one man, in the hands of one man, will make him unaccountable. How can the parliament hold the president accountable, for example, is another question that is asked. Well, it can initiate an investigation against the president with 301 votes out of a 600 chamber. So 50% plus one, essentially. Also, it'll take 400 votes to change the constitution, that's 2/3, and 360 votes to call for a referendum. This is what Parliament can do. What can the presidency now do? It can declare a state of emergency, it can appoint ministers and other officials, and it will propose the budget for Parliament to approve. So this is the gist of it. How will it play out? I'll give you guys 30 seconds each. Go ahead, please.
Well, let me begin then. One is that obviously Turkey from now on need very strong, what they call it, NGOs, and we have to establish check and balance system. And obviously, even thinking that there's such a power being in one person's hand is a dangerous thing, etc. So I think that may, if we really work hard, can contribute positively into Turkey's political system if we can accurately and adequately establish check and balance system.
Please go ahead.
Actually,
Pinar.
I totally agree with Professor Vehbi that civil society can play a significant role here. The civil space has been significantly restricted in Turkey in the last years. And we certainly need and urgently need a more civil space. And I think what Turkey needs to do is to open this civil space and allow civilian actors to maneuver within the civil space, which could act as a base for checks and balances.
Thank you so much, Pinar Akpinar and Vehbi Baysan. Pleasure.